Snapchat. Keep it alive through these lines I write. I keep it live cause I thrive. I might just blow your mind tonight. I'm so hyped, but it's no hype. From this height, it's direct hits on sight. I'm your type, lend me your ears to show you that there's something in me. I'm not giving up, I'm standing right here, holding these days hostage. And I'll make this my year. We turning fear into love, and the love's in the air. I love doing this cause nothing compares. Nothing can share that same type of feeling when you feeling them flares. They can't catch it, it's havoc. I rip to a tear, switch a scenario. My stereos, I leave them impaired. Variables start to change and they're all in my range. I just gotta grab it, it's all mathematics. Every step is drastic, I make it fantastic. I'm trying to take your breath away. Asthmatic.
This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo.
Yeah, just nod your head with it, so explicit and vivid. Every image is intricate, intimate. I put my all into it, no scrimmage and no rules. I'm a pro tool, hear my heartbeat, beat into the vocals. I'm so loco, lost my mind, oh no. It's Ponderoso, dope, so no overdose, cause it's dope, yo. Man, this is house grown, mixed with some milestones. So I let the style flow down like the Dow Jones, bringing it with some foul tones, letting the crowd know we getting loud, so it's eardrum rudiments. Yeah, we bring it rude again. Move, little hooligan. Music for tuning in, full time to the 10. I'm on my clock like I told you. I'm doing this for dreams we pursuing.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Anti-Media Radio. Once again with your host Nick Burnaby here on UCY.TV. Hope you guys are doing good tonight. Joined here in the studio once again with SM Gibson. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
Not too bad. I'm also joined in the studio with DB Schwartz. How you doing, man?
Doing well, man. Doing well.
Well, we got a bunch of news for you guys tonight. I mean, so much stuff going on. I mean, I don't know where to start. I guess we can start it off with this this video that we have here with just John McCain. I guess being John McCain. 1 second. Let's pull up this clip.
If we are going to conduct a conflict the way you are describing it, and I'm afraid that's the case, this is reminiscent of Vietnam, the gradual escalation that ended up in one of the worst defeats that America has ever suffered.
Let me ask you about what your colleague Rand Paul said about it this morning. He said it's a mistake to arm them. Most of the arms that we've given the so-called moderate rebels have wound up in the hands of ISIS because ISIS simply takes it from them or it is given to them, and we mistakenly actually end up giving it to some radicals. Look, things are very...
Has Rand Paul ever been to Syria? Has he ever met with ISIS?
I'm not trying to cause a fight,
any of these people? No. We're going to have a fight because it's patently false. This is the same Rand Paul that said we didn't want to have anything to do with anything to do in the Middle East, by the way. I don't want to get in a fight with him at all. Yeah. But it's not true. I know these people. I'm in contact with them all the time.
Let me ask you this.
So there you have it, man. John McCain claims that he's intimately in contact with ISIS. Now, was he misspeaking? Did he mean to say Syrian rebels? Does it really matter? Because all the weapons that we've given to the Syrian rebels also end up in the hands of ISIS. And we talked about this last week, I believe, or no, not last week, on Monday actually, about how this whole thing with ISIS is really just an end around to get into Syria, to backdoor into Syria. And that's all it seems to be turning out to. In fact, John McCain himself, there was a Senate hearing today with John Kerry talking about ISIS and the plans to go after ISIS and all that stuff. I mean, he basically came out and said it today, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, absolutely did. I mean, John McCain was the only one that actually had a plan, and his plan was we need to go into Syria and topple Assad and take over the country. And he said it, on C-SPAN 3 today.
Yeah, and, here's the thing. these guys in Congress, I mean, this is what we were saying last week, in fact, about how bloodthirsty Congress is and how it was almost...
He was even encouraging, he goes, well, we can fight two wars at once. And that's when I believe John Kerry gave him a wink and a nod there.
Yeah. And, here's the thing, is that besides the fact that Rand Paul was like the only guy up there that was actually questioning this whole deal with ISIS and Syria and the whole long game and all that stuff, a lot of these congressmen, a lot of these senators were literally saying, hey, maybe we're not going far enough.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're already partially liable for 150,000 deaths in Syria because of us propping up that civil war. Now these guys are saying, well, I don't know if we should rule out ground forces. Maybe we should have ground forces going into Iraq and into Syria. I mean, this is what these guys want.
Yeah, it absolutely is what they want. I mean, it doesn't seem like they're disagreeing on not fighting. Everybody seems like they're ready to go into war. It's just more of how many people do we kill? Do we just go into Iraq and deal with ISIS, or do we go into Syria and kill everybody?
I mean, that's where it seems like these politicians are heading, and that's why at first I was like hoping that Obama didn't go to Congress, because I know damn well that Congress is going to authorize the use of force, just like they did today.
And another point Rand Paul made today, I tell you what, we've got a clip of it. Let me just pull it up, and he explained why they don't want to vote on it.
It's unbelievable that if the president came before a joint session of Congress and asked for use of force, that he wouldn't get a vote. I find it unthinkable. There's absolutely no way that you can imagine that he would not get a vote if he asked for it. So really, let's be honest. Politics are engaged here. People don't want to have a vote for the election. They're afraid of this vote. People are petrified, not of the enemy, but petrified of the electorate. That's why we're not having... Well, let me answer the first part of your question.
I mean, there you have it. I just want to make sure DB can hear all. You're still there, right, man?
Oh yeah, I'm hearing it all. I mean, it's just it gets to be more and more like a reality show every day. Like John McCain is so scrambled now, he doesn't even really know what he's saying anymore, and he's Freudian slipping all over the place. Here's the thing: everybody already kind of came to the summation that ISIS or ISIL or whatever you want to call them is our monster, and it got away from us, and now it's not a problem. It's doing exactly what it was supposed to do. A destabilized Middle East is good for us, bad for the world, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and this whole thing boils down to what John McCain said in the hearing today, where he basically, just like we have all been saying for the longest time, he came out and he said, yeah, you know what, let's be straight up. This isn't so much about ISIS. Well, it is a little bit, but this is more so about Assad.
At least he admits it. I'll give him that.
I know, and the guy, like you were saying, DB, about how scrambled up this guy's head is. I mean, he's so insane, and he's like a walking, he's like a surrogate for the military-industrial complex. He doesn't even know what the hell he's saying. I mean, he sat there and says that he knows ISIS, and then he talks with them and met with them and all that stuff. I mean, there was those pictures that came out.
Of course he does. I mean, he was probably part of the power brokering that was used to set him up. But, I mean, he's not supposed to let the cat out of the bag like that. And, this is why we have to understand that there's probably some kind of civil war between the intelligence agencies of our country going on over there. It really seems to me like half of the guys are on board, half of them aren't. Some of them want to pull troops back. Some of them want to go full military-industrial complex and invade everybody. And I think that there's people that understand that if we go in here too far and overextend ourselves, it'll be the end of it all for the guys at the top, because people here are they're over it. I mean, they're so tired of it.
McCain, in the clip we played at the beginning of the show, compared it to Vietnam. And that was his argument to get us into war. Have we not learned from history? Have we not learned from our mistakes yet?
I mean, it's like these guys want another Vietnam situation. And he's like, yeah, this is like Vietnam and stuff. Well, yeah, it is like Vietnam, because we've been at war in Iraq for longer than we were in war in Vietnam. And we spent a lot more money. Yeah, not as many Americans have died. But there's been a lot of people in Iraq and Afghanistan that have died.
Well, what's the total? I mean, the places we're bombing don't have censuses. I mean, we're talking in the millions already with the armaments we've dropped. it makes Vietnam starting to look kind of small, man. I mean, I think we've already eclipsed the killing fields of Cambodia many times over. So we're talking democide, and it's really unmentioned because there's just no way to tell. This is the problem with having a humanless war where drones are shooting missiles and killing 30 or 40 at a time. We don't know who we hit. We don't even know if we're hitting the right guys.
Yeah, and that's what's so scary about all this stuff with this. Actually, me and Scott, me and you were talking last night about how Terminator is already arrived for people in the Middle East. I mean, these people are living the Terminator movie in the Middle East right now because we're sending drones in there to blow them up and hunt them down and spy on them. I mean, that's what we're doing to people right now. And we think that's okay?
Terminator,
do we really think... Are Americans going to let our government run a Terminator program against brown people in the Middle East? That is absolutely insane. I can't believe anybody even stands for this stuff.
Out of sight, out of mind, though.
For now, and it's already starting to come home to roost.
Oh,
I mean, there was a drone that just crashed off the coast of San Diego that they forgot to tell us was flying out there, and I never saw the thing. I mean, these things are stealth; you can't see them. But when it crashed, it was like, oh yeah, they act like, oh yeah, everyone knows about this. It's a $14 million drone. Yeah, it went haywire, and we crashed it off the coast. It was spying all over the border regions and stuff. Well, obviously, it wasn't doing its job, but what it probably was doing was just spying on us. Because if they're saying, if they're going to sit here and say that we have this horrible porous border problem, while at the same time saying that they're flying drones over the border to keep us safe and keep bad guys out, well, if that drone isn't keeping bad guys out, then what's it doing? Because it's not doing its job. So those drones, it's being used in the Middle East to kill people. They're being used here in the United States to spy on people. But it's only a matter of time until we get on this slippery slope and the Terminator syndrome comes home to roost, and then that movie becomes reality for America. It's already reality for people in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Yemen, in Somalia. It's already reality for them. But sooner or later, it's going to come home to roost.
Well, our country, members of Congress and the powers that be they are bloodthirsty still. They haven't quenched their thirst yet. We have just sent 3,000 troops into Africa to fight Ebola. What are they going to do? Shoot the disease?
They're going to drone bomb Ebola.
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Any excuse they can think of to send troops somewhere, they're just like, oh, yeah, we need to send troops. People are getting sick. Let's send troops. What is that going to accomplish?
I know, man. And
my only thought is that they're protecting something that has a monetary value to it, maybe like a weapons lab.
I mean, who knows, man? I don't know what the hell these guys are doing. They should be sending scientists and stuff. They should be sending scientists and stuff to fight the disease. They shouldn't be sending bullets and bombs over there to blow people up. This is completely illogical.
Well, I guess their thought is if we kill all the people with troops, then, we'll kill the disease, too.
Yeah, just kill them all out.
Yeah,
I guess
kill them, and then
maybe that's what they're thinking. Yeah, who knows? Maybe that's the idea that they're going for. I mean, who knows with these guys? I mean, it's just completely unfathomable. And now we get Congress today. Congress basically just approved Obama's plan to arm the Syrian moderate rebels.
It wasn't completely overwhelming, though.
It wasn't, but it wasn't surprising. I mean,
right.
I was thinking, if you look at what these guys are saying, they're like, oh, well, Obama should have never said that we're not putting boots on the ground. We should be thinking about putting boots on the ground, too. We got to go ahead and fully re-invade Iraq and then go and fully invade Syria. I mean, that's what a lot of people in Congress are thinking. All of the neocons, all of the establishment hacks like Nancy Pelosi and John Boehner and all these guys, that's what they wanted to do. And they did it. They passed it, and now it's going to go to the Senate. Now, here's the problem. According to what these guys are telling us, according to what John McCain was saying today in the hearing, according to everything that we've been hearing come out of Obama's mouth, these guys don't have a legitimate plan to do anything with the Syrian rebels. In fact, the Syrian rebels just signed a non-aggression pact with ISIS.
Yes.
So how in the hell are we going to fund moderate rebels when these guys have just agreed not to fight against ISIS? If our goal, our stated goal, and that's what these guys keep saying, is that our goal is to go and defeat ISIS. It's not to topple Assad. But at the same time, the quote-unquote moderate rebels just agreed to not fight ISIS. What in the hell are these guys planning on doing? And Obama wants $500 million to go carry this plan out. And I'll tell you my theory on it, and then I want to know what you guys think about it too. If anybody wants to call in, feel free to call us tonight. We had a great show Monday. It was a wild one with all those callers. But you guys can call in and chime in on this. The number is 718-717-8296. Once again, 718-717-8296, and we'll be answering the calls here in a little while. Here's my theory, man. What these idiots, and they call themselves foreign policy experts. I call them idiots because obviously whatever they've been doing has not worked for the past 70 years. It's just made things a lot worse. This is what I think they're going to do. They're going to take a bunch of these Syrians, because you got to remember, how many Syrians have fled Syria during the Civil War? Something like 2 million, 2.5 million. Mm-hmm. Where are they at? They're all in all those surrounding countries. Some of them went to Iraq. Some of them went to Turkey, Yemen, and Jordan and all that stuff. This is what they're going to do. They're going to get all these expatriates from Syria. They're going to take them over to Saudi Arabia, train them with the $500 million that Obama's asking for, and he's going to get. And then they're going to do a Bay of Pigs invasion on Syria. That's what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. They're going to take these guys out of the country. Well, they're already out of the country. They're going to take them, train them, and then send them back in, because there are no moderate rebels left in Syria. That is the truth. And the few that are left, even though they're not moderate, they're hardline Islamic. They believe in Sharia law. Even the guys that are called the Islamic Front, which is like the coalition of anti-Assad fighters in Syria. These guys, in all the land that they are in control of, it's hardline Sharia law. And these are the guys that John Kerry and Barack Obama are calling moderate rebels. These are the guys that John McCain is calling moderate rebels. I mean, if the situation were different and these men were located within the borders of Iran, these men would be called absolute terrorists. You know, these are Hamas. These are all these Hezbollah guys. These are the bad guys, okay? But for now, with these psychopaths that are in charge of things, these are the good guys now. For somehow, some way, these Sunni extreme Islamists are the good guys.
It's funny. It always, like, you can sit here and talk about it, and you always end up back to the same point: Saudi Arabia. It always points back to that one country. No matter if you're talking about 9/11 and the hijackers, or if you're talking about where's the funding coming from for ISIS right now. Everything points back to them, and yet we just act like they're perfect, everything's wonderful. But there's some boogeymen over here in northern Iraq and in Syria, and we need to get them. So what they want to do is go after this boogeyman they've created and use it as an excuse to topple Assad, and basically the prophecy of Wesley Clark, I don't know if it's much prophecy as just repeating a conversation, is that they want to take out all these countries. Who would want to take out all these countries? Saudi Arabia and Israel. The question ultimately is, why do they want to do that? What do you think about that, DB?
Probably just destabilization is the name of the game. I mean, until they draw every last drop of oil out of there, it's just going to always be better to have massive amounts of chaos so nobody can really come in. I mean,
do you think it's Saudi Arabia trying to get a complete monopoly on all the oil?
I don't even think they can. I mean, they're so dependent on us. They're really a puppet state of us, just like Israel is. So if you were to look on a map, you could consider them really part of NATO. I don't know what they can do, dude. I think that the main thing is they're going to separate almost all the Middle East along ethnic lines, because that's just better. It's better than having a unified caliphate, which is what ISIL wants, and which really does represent a threat not just to us, but the whole world empire, really.
Yeah, it's such a complicated situation. It's such a complicated place, and all these undercurrents going on over there. And what was that famous Reagan quote when he messed up big time over in the Middle East, when he got all those Marines killed?
Of the Iran country.
He got a bunch of Marines killed over in Yemen or something, and he said, I underestimated basically what he said is, I underestimated how insane the politics are of the Middle East. And that was probably one of the best quotes that was probably one of the smartest things he ever said. Because he screwed up big time, and he admitted it. Now, I'm not a fan of Reagan or anything like that, but in that instance, he understood that he screwed up. And now we need to understand, our government needs to understand, and Kerry even admitted this today in the Senate hearing. He's like, yeah, a lot of the funding and stuff that ended up flowing into the Syrian rebels, it ended up in the wrong hands, and that was a mistake. Okay, you got that. You're right so far. Now continue. So now we need to send more ammo and weapons into the Syrian rebels. Okay, now you just lost me. When he he admitted it, that he messed up, that we all messed up, and then he said we just got to keep doing more of it.
Well, he also turned around and sat there and looked at Rand Paul and looked at everybody in the world and said, but they're not getting the weapons. They're not getting those weapons. Just because we're giving them to the moderate Syrian rebels doesn't mean it's ended up in the hands of ISIS, even though everybody on the planet knows that is exactly what's happening.
We just sent the Syrian rebels a few months ago like 40 Toyota trucks.
Yes.
And then a picture comes out on Twitter of ISIS parading those 40 Toyota trucks, brand new, paid for by you and me. Yep. So, I mean, to me, this is definitely more of the covert plan that the idiot McCain keeps on accidentally telling the world about. Basically, this is all just a plan to topple Assad. The reason they want to topple Assad is because they've been trying to build a pipeline through Syria that goes from Saudi Arabia to Europe, and Assad has been blocking the pipeline. So they want to get a friendly regime in there to okay the pipeline. And, I mean, there's that, and then there's the containment factor on Russia. That's the other thing they want to do, is they want to contain Russia. They want to be able to starve Russia from their main economic base, which is selling natural resources.
It's way more than containment, man. It's actually, they're going to try to fight them and take them over for two reasons. One, if they don't, BRICS will get traction and the dollar will die. And they won't be able to pop World War III off, and they'll have to deal with us, dude. Seriously, that's the biggest problem they have right now. Now, we've been keeping the pressure on to not fight Syria. If they can't topple Syria, they can't topple Iran, they can't topple Iran, they can't topple Russia. And then we're at a stalemate, which is a good thing, man. Just keep stalling, because 2-3 years from now, if they try to install some kind of microchip crap in Obamacare, or if taxes keep going up, there's going to be a breaking point where even the most dull American will see that they have nothing left to lose. It's only a matter of time, and they'll take to the streets, or even better, they'll actually just opt out of the system.
Well, it's already coming home, and I think people are kind of starting to wake up a little bit, because another vote that just went through Congress was the Audit the Fed bill, which actually passed. Believe it or not, who would have ever thought we would have seen that day?
It passed through the House.
But yeah, it's clearly going to, burn in flames when it hits the Senate. But it's still a positive sign that there's people waking up a little bit. We're getting somewhere. The problem is, are we moving too slow? And the plan's so far ahead, there's nothing we can do about it. What do we do?
I was reading an article earlier today. I think it was from the New York Times when the story first broke about how Congress how the House gave the go-ahead to Obama's plan to go ahead and arm the Syrian terrorists. There was a line in the article that said, this is a rare occasion of bipartisanship. Well, yeah. The only time the Congress ever works together is when it's to do bad stuff. It's it's when they want to start up wars, when they want to raise taxes, when they want to do horrible things that don't benefit the people. Whenever there's a bill that's coming up that's going to be, relief for student debt and things that are going to help people, repealing Citizens United and stuff like that. Oh, no, then it splits down party lines. Oh, no, the Republicans aren't going to support that, and no, the Democrats aren't going to support that. But when it comes to the Federal Reserve, when it comes to bailing out Wall Street, when it comes to starting up a bunch of wars in Iraq, overthrowing Libya, overthrowing Iran, going into Syria now, oh, man, it's all bipartisan. Now, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of dissenting voices in the House vote today to approve this plan, and a lot of them were Democrats. In fact, I think it said 40% of the people that voted against it were Democrats, which means that the Democrats are breaking rank, which is a good thing. But at the same time, you got to remember that we're coming up to an election.
That's exactly what it is.
We're coming right up to an election, and these Democrats don't want to look like war hawks. They want to get reelected. So, yeah, maybe they broke ranks just for that. I mean, you got to remember, not only... These guys aren't only looking at the real costs of going into a war, which, by the way, if you look at this planet, it's so vague that it could go on for decades and decades. I mean, we're looking at, this is basically just more perpetual war.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what the whole Rand Paul was saying today to John Kerry, is, there's an election coming up, and you say you want to vote on this, even though you don't feel like you're obligated to, even though it states it in the Constitution that they are obligated to vote on this. And John Kerry gave this big spiel about how, oh no, but Barack Obama wants to do the right thing. He wants to bring this to Congress, so that's probably going to happen. And when Rand Paul went out, he just goes, but for the record, it won't be before the election, but.
Exactly, and the main talking point that Kerry had was the president is ready to act on how we feel is the best way to protect the American people. He just kept saying that over and over again. So basically, they're saying it's our opinion that we should do this because we got a bunch of advisors that have ties to the defense industry that are telling us that this is what we need to do. And whether Congress okays it or not, it'd be nice, and this is basically what Kerry was saying. It'd be cool if Congress went ahead and gave us the authority, but if we don't actually need it, we're going to do it either way.
Well,
but if you agree to it, yeah, if Congress is willing to agree to let us go into war, cool. But if you don't agree, then it doesn't matter. We're going to go ahead and bomb it anyway. I mean, this is a dictatorship. This is an oligarchy. It really is just economic fascism because this is what it's all about. Yeah, we're waging war and stuff, but it's all about economics. It's all about corporatism and stuff. And like I said, the biggest reason they want to topple Assad. Yeah, he's a bad guy. He's done some bad things. He crushed the protests in the Arab Spring, but he did no worse than what the Saudi Arabians did, or what the Qataris did.
That's the thing.
Or what the Arab Emirates did. He did no worse than what they did. In fact, he probably didn't do as bad. But we don't want to go and overthrow Saudi Arabia or Qatar or the Arab Emirates. We want to go and overthrow Saudi Arabia, or we want to go and overthrow Syria.
Well, they want everything to make it sound like, oh, so you're against war, so you're for ISIS. That's how they sell things. They do it through fear, and they just exaggerate things. Oh, you don't think we should bomb Syria, so you think Assad's a really good guy. And what people don't understand is there are bad people in the world. That doesn't mean we have to interfere with every single one of them. And John Kerry's talking point of we need to protect the American people, we need to protect the American people. Well, you protect the American people by not going overseas, bombing people, and creating more enemies for the American people.
Now, I realized we talked on Monday about how these guys went in, and when they said that they were going to rescue the Yazidis, which we all know was basically a lie. The Yazidis were rescued by the Kurds. We started dropping bombs, quote-unquote, to rescue the Yazidis, which were these Christians that were trapped on a mountain. Unfortunately, they weren't actually Christians. And unfortunately, our airstrikes weren't actually targeted to protect these people. And also, unfortunately, these people are still in horrible shape. In fact, I read a first-hand report from a Yazidi earlier this week, and they're saying we have not received any humanitarian aid at all. So all this crap that they're saying, oh yeah, we saved the Yazidis, we sent them humanitarian aid by the truckload, by the plane load, lie after lie after lie after lie. Don't believe any of it. If you don't believe me, just Google it. Go on Mint, look at mintpressnews.com and look up the Yazidis. I mean, you get some first-hand accounts from some very trusted journalists that I've met personally that are going to shatter what these guys have been saying because everything that they've been telling us is a lie. Now, I heard Kerry today saying that, yeah, as soon as this thing popped off, we set up a joint task force in Erbil. Now, if you remember last show on Monday, we talked about Erbil and how Erbil is the oil hub of Kurdistan in Iraq. Now, as soon as this tension popped off, we went and put American personnel in Erbil. So therefore, we had, the whole thing was, we need to, the reason we're bombing Iraq is to save the Yazidis and to protect American personnel, right? So they're protecting American personnel. They're putting American personnel where they want to bomb, and then they're saying that we got to protect the American personnel.
Exactly.
It's just so crazy. We got a caller on the line now from 559. How's it going? You're on the Anti-Media Radio. Hey, can you hear me there? 559? Okay, they dropped. I don't know if they realized that they were going to go on live. Anyway, I mean, this is what they're doing. They're saying, okay, there's oil in our bill. Okay, put our guys there, and then we can say, okay, we got to protect our guys, so we got to bomb our bill. And we got to bomb ISIS from getting our bill, because that was the oil hub that they didn't want them to take over.
Yeah, and even Rand Paul today, while he was saying a lot of good things, even he was saying, we do need to protect our American interest. He was talking about protecting the embassy in Baghdad and protecting our American interest overseas. When they're doing exactly what you're talking about and putting American interest right under an oil field, that gives them an excuse to say this is what we're protecting.
I mean, it's almost as bad as like dropping some paratroopers into Damascus and then saying, "Oh, look, they're trying to use our paratroopers as human shields. We got to bomb them." And this is the kind of stuff. It's this Orwellian stuff that we've become so accustomed to, and it's so normal now to hear this Orwellian doublespeak out of the mouths of these idiot talking head pundits that we see on TV. And that's why TV is just so toxic. And I hate the fact that I have to watch the crap just because part of our job at the Anti-Media is to expose them for the fools that they are. So that makes it so that I have to watch the crap sometimes. And I hate watching it because it's horrible. And I'll sit there watching it yelling at the screen because these guys are just such idiots and they're such liars. And
the art of the non-story, like what I'm starting to tell people is, why is this being given so much airtime when there's this major thing going on, and this really has nothing to do with you at all? I mean, Ray Rice is the ultimate psyop, because then you get these NFL guys too. These are the guys that ordinarily would stew and get angry and start thinking about ways to change things.
It was a third player today that came out.
Yeah, all this NFL domestic violence, don't get me wrong, domestic violence is horrible, but it's not national news. This is a huge distraction. And, I mean, I just went to the Drudge Report an hour ago, and the main story on Drudge Report is about Aretha Franklin releasing a new CD. This is their top story. I mean, they're not even... The story about the House approving Obama's plan to go into Syria is like an afterthought compared to Aretha Franklin. I mean, this is just mind-numbing, mind-blowing that these guys are trying to feed us this garbage. But they are. And guess what?
Just give us some RSPECT.
And the bad part is that people are buying into this crap. I mean, people are really buying into it. And now Congress is going to get away with, as far as I can tell, because the House already approved the plan, now it's on the Senate, it looks like they're going to pass it probably by tomorrow. Now, what can we do to stop the march towards war? Well, I mean, I'd like to say that you can call your congressman and tell them not to do it, and I encourage people to do that. But again, we are in an oligarchy, and there's not much response back to the constituencies. But I think we should still do that. At least
we did it last year against Syria.
At least to say we tried, And we can do that. We got to break the bank, man. They're going to send $500 million. Well, where are they going to get the money? Well, they're going to finance it off your grandchildren's backs. So, that's all that debt.
Exposing the Fed and the way that they use our labor, or especially the future generations' labor, as collateral through the banknote that is your Social Security number. I mean, if the Fed's abolished, that system's abolished too, and the whole national ID thing is going to just be dead in its tracks. It would accomplish so much to end not only war all over the world, but this not only encroaching, but already kind of put in place police surveillance state just wouldn't have a way to function anymore. I mean, even this NSA data center is taking 1.7 million gallons of fresh water a day, and they're starting to see they can't meet that demand no matter what, especially not in Utah. So just starve them out. Starve them out. I mean, work for cash, work for gold, work for Bitcoin. These things are starting to take hold. People are starting to get paid in Bitcoin.
Oh, absolutely. I tell you what we should do about this whole situation, and I'm going to change the topic a little bit. I'm really excited about this. It's tomorrow. Scotland is voting for their independence, and I hope they do it. I hope they all vote yes, and I hope they break away from the United Kingdom. It's really exciting. I wish it was happening over here. I'm envious. I'm jealous. You know, at the end of the day, they're still going to be subscribed to another system of government, but they're breaking away from their oppressors of hundreds of years. And this is very exciting.
They're breaking away from a big part of the machine, you know.
Exactly.
And England is the finance capital of the Western world. You know, there's a higher concentration of billionaires in London than there are anywhere else in the world. And you know, one thing that I know about Scotland is that they're tired of being dragged around by the coattails of England. And England's getting dragged into all of our wars. They had to go into Afghanistan. They had to go into Iraq. Those wars were very unpopular in England, even more unpopular than they are here.
Well, we talked about it because the beheading, the newest beheading.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, 9/11, whether you think it is a real or fake inside job or not, it happened to us. It didn't happen to England. So why in the hell did England have to send all their guys to go die in Iraq?
Well,
and that's why it's so.
They had 7/7 to convince them that they needed to be in there.
Yeah, and then it breaks down even further. The people in Scotland just have to do what England tells them to do. You know, so it's even worse. So these people, I mean, all signs point to these guys are going to break away and become independent. If it turns out that the polls say that the no votes won, I am definitely going to be suspicious of that. I'm definitely going to think something fishy is going on.
Well, I saw a story today that there was some company that did a poll via Twitter, and it wasn't really a poll, it was just kind of gathering and collecting all the information and the tweets about the upcoming vote tomorrow, and they said that it's going to overwhelmingly be a yes if you consider what the public is saying on Twitter and in social media. What are your thoughts on Scotland, GB?
I mean, it's going to just completely ruin everything for them because it's all of their really important strategic energy reserves. It puts them on an island. It really just, they can't do anything anymore. And the city of London's quaking in its boots because if there were some time where they'd have to protect England, they would definitely need Scotland to be the production and manufacturing hubs. That's how they function in World War II. And without them, I mean, NATO doesn't have a lot of power without the UK, and the UK doesn't have a lot of war power without Scotland. It's crazy, and it's going to start also Wales on their own way, and Wales has a lot of their hydropower and a lot of coal, so it's just going to start things everywhere, I think.
I could tell you, and I could see who would be very excited to see Scotland go would be Germany, because then everything's going to transfer over to them, and London is all of a sudden, you know, on a downhill slope to not be the center of the financial world anymore. Everything transitions over to Germany.
Well, I mean, think about England. They were at the head of the hegemony for the longest time. The Dutch East India Company, you know, they ruined China, they ruined India, you know, all that stuff. And then after World War II, they caught a free ride with us. You know, they became under protection of us. And ever since then, they've had a special relationship, just like Israel has with the United States, and therefore they benefit from the reserve dollar, and they have an interest in reserving that dollar, and they have an interest in propping up the global monetary system. Scotland breaking away is going to harm their unity, their national unity. It's going to give the Scots a lot more independence. It's going to undermine their military ability, their banking system.
And why not California, Nick? Why do we have to live in a place where we have it always is fluctuating, but last I saw we were the 18th most powerful country in the world by ourselves economically, and plus we have tons of military hardware that I'm sure could be negotiated as part of a mutual self-defense pact. I mean, there's certain states, there's certain parts of the U.S.
Well, biggest economy in the world, I believe.
Well, we're over them, so maybe we're 8th. I don't know.
Yeah, y'all could be. Yeah, and Texas I know is big, and at least Texas has threatened it in the past 20 years.
I mean, it doesn't make sense. We're in the red because we're paying more to the Fed than they give us back, and then they hold the little crumbs they do give us back over our heads and prevent us from passing legislation that people want, like fully legal marijuana, which would, by the way, destroy Amsterdam as a go-to place and make what? Probably San Francisco the most popular destination in the world. I mean, just think of the things they're blocking for their own petty, greedy self-interest.
Yeah, for the corporate interest, man. The whole reason that marijuana is illegal, there was a video today out of benswan.com about how the government owns a patent on marijuana and its treatment for cancer and other things. The reason marijuana is illegal is because it's a crony law, man, and it's to stifle competition, stifle innovation. It's the pharmaceutical industry has a big interest in keeping marijuana illegal. The law enforcement industry has a big interest in keeping it illegal. The prison unions, the private prison industry, all that stuff. And it hurts us economically. I mean, I was reading an article just before the show about hempcrete and how hempcrete is getting more popular, and it's a great building material, and it's light, and it's fireproof, and it's renewable, and it's green. You know, this stuff is getting popular all around the world, and more people in America are wanting to build with this stuff, and they are, but they're having to import all their hempcrete from Canada and from the UK because they're actually allowed to grow the stuff out there. Over here, they claim that we have freedom, and everyone, oh yeah, America, the land of the free. Well, unfortunately, no, that's not true. America is the land of you're free to do what corporations allow you to do, and the government and their militarized police state enforce it for them, and that's what they do.
And hempcrete and 3D printing are going to go hand in hand because you can grow concrete and you can print it out for about $100 a square foot. And it's just going to revolutionize not $100 a square foot, $10 a square foot is basically what it's going to cost you. A $12,000 house is going to be a nice size. So these things are going to come out. They're going to change real estate, construction. They're going to get rid of a lot of the homeless problems because when people find out that it costs more to actually have social services than just give these people homes, we're just going to give them homes.
I think a telltale sign of the whole thing, it's going to prove what everybody has said for this entire time, it's going to prove them right, is when we see the economy of Colorado is probably about to skyrocket. The economy is probably about to just boom out.
Well, not only is the economy booming, and it's already on the books that it is, the crime rates are dropping like crazy.
Huge.
The vehicular crime, the car accidents and stuff are dropping, which go completely against what these propagandists have been telling us all this time. Remember that commercial where the stoned kids went through the Taco Bell drive-thru and then they ran over a little kid coming out of the drive-thru? I mean, it's all bullshit. I mean, it's all a lie. And now all these lies that they've been telling us, people are, the government would never lie to us. Well, they've been lying to you about weed for the past 100 years, 80 years, or however long it's been.
Anytime they own a patent on something, they're going to lie and tell you the opposite because it's going to get in the way of future profits, and it's going to come out when they want it to come out. I mean, this stuff should really enrage the parents of sick children who are suffering right now. Anybody who's suffering right now, anybody who sees a loved one suffering right now, from things that they hold the patent for the cure. They own it, they've proven it, and they're not releasing it. How are people okay with that?
Back where I live in Tennessee, we just recently in the past year had a bill come up to the Tennessee House about legalizing marijuana for medical use. And please forgive me for not remembering the name of the bill and the child. It was named after the child, and I believe had epilepsy, and the bill failed. So what does the family do? They moved to Colorado.
Yeah, that's what they did because in Colorado you have a bit more freedom to do what you want to do, and if you want to treat
it's
your
for the
children,
health of their child.
Yeah, it's to have their kid live, and by keeping this stuff illegal, they're killing people. Absolutely. They're committing crime. They're murdering people by doing what they did to the Iraqis when they had an embargo and a no-fly zone over the area when they killed 500,000 children because they got sick and couldn't get no medicine. That's what they're doing to our own kids.
And make no mistake about it, where they're allowing it to become legalized, where they're becoming industrialized, is being done strategically for pretty, pragmatic purposes. Everybody knows the importance of Colorado to our country. Everybody knows what's underneath Colorado, so it's natural that they want to use that as a test bed. But the thing that always surprised me was Washington is growing industrial hemp like crazy, probably to block Fukushima.
Well, Washington is, I lived in Seattle for a time, and it was still illegal at the time that I lived there. But it was and it wasn't. It was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. We don't really
semi-decriminalized.
Right. It was just, people looked the other way. They're very progressive about it. So the fact that they legalized it there, it's really no big shock. It's more the mentality of the people there, I think. They didn't care beforehand. Like, it's not a big deal to them, and they're obviously a lot more there's more progressive thinkers there than around the rest of the country.
Now, back to this whole independence debate. Me and SM went to a debate last night and filmed it for the Anti-Media, but it was Alex Fidel, and he's the guy running for mayor of Encinitas here in San Diego County. He went viral off of an article on the Anti-Media that we did, and he went on TV and basically destroyed the two-party system, came out in favor of marijuana legalization, talked about how the Federal Reserve is enslaving us all, how the government killed Martin Luther King. I mean, this guy...
He called a sheriff out for treason
He called the sheriff, yeah, and we went to this debate last night.
The guy left?
Yeah, he called out the sheriff for treason, said he should be tried for treason. And the guy was at the debate because he's running for city council, and then he left. But here's the thing, that same guy, and it kind of comes down to this whole independence debate, this guy was, in his opening statement, he was bragging about the fact that he was shutting down legal marijuana dispensaries in California. He's like, I helped shut down every marijuana dispensary in San Diego County.
He also bragged about how he was endorsed by the Republican Party, too.
Yeah, and the sheriff's organization or whatever. I mean, so, basically what I'm getting to here is that California legalized medical marijuana with Prop 215 years ago, but you still got these shills that are complete government worshipping status that are going to go around and enforce federal laws, even though the local constituency doesn't believe in them.
That guy needs to have a PI trailed on him, because I promise you he goes to bars and drives drunk.
I wouldn't be surprised, but this is why we need true independence, because right now, even if we, like here in California, where we say, medical marijuana is legal, it was just a couple weeks ago when I read the news that said that a few dispensaries got shut down. I mean, so even though we have our own laws and our own governance here, and whether it's state, county, local, city, the federal government is still overriding a lot of this stuff, and that is completely wrong, because nobody has respect for the federal government. Congress has something like a 9% approval rating. Nobody likes Obama. I mean, they have no authority over us, besides the fact that they have this mentality that they have authority.
Well, they have the guys with the guns following them still, until enough people here can convince a lot of these people that have no idea what's going on to just say, hey, listen, man, this is what they got planned, this is what they're doing to you, see how it's happened slowly over the last 30 years. Especially guys in the military, man, you got to wake up and see that your health care, your pensions are going to get gutted. And what then did you fight for? Because it was a low-paying job for people that got no real benefit out of it, and they're going to get a whole hell of a lot of blowback here soon.
Well, here's how desperate they are. This is really the only power they have left, is using fear against the American people. That's it. That's how they're throwing the Hail Mary now. Everything is about fear. That's the only thing left they have. Patriotism is not what it once was. It's just fear. They say the word terrorist, people start lining up. That started kind of dying down. They couldn't really convince people, well, the next Hitler's coming, because of what Bush did in Iraq. People got tired of that. They got tired of it with Vietnam. So then, okay, we can't just attack some country now. What do? Let's just have something out there in the world. And they can go anywhere. Australia made us mad. Guess what? There's a branch of ISIS in Australia.
Yeah, Australia needs freedom and democracy.
Right.
Time to bring it. Hey, we got a caller on the line here from 508 area code. How's it going? What do you want to talk about?
Don, man, I just wanted to join in with your medical marijuana conversation. And I live in Massachusetts, and just recently we voted in the fact that we can use it medically. and I think that's a huge step for my state. We decriminalized it before that was even considered, and just within that in itself, you can see how much people have become less of criminals because of that decriminalization. And they only go after dealers now, but even that, in my mind, is it's wrong because, as you guys are saying, it is a medicine. And I don't know if you guys have seen Ben Swan, his recent video about the CBD oil and the benefits of it, but I think what they're doing by making marijuana completely illegal and making people criminals for just, seeking medicine, it's just absolutely absurd.
Yeah, man, I definitely agree. I mean, first of all, the medical properties can't be ignored by the government keeping it illegal, causing kids to die. There was that one child a couple months ago I read about that I think had epilepsy as well. And it was a similar situation to what you were just talking about, SM, about in Tennessee, how the family moved to Colorado to get the CBD. But this family, they tried to go about it a legal way. They tried to petition medically. The state or whatever still said, no, you can't do it. And what happened? The kid ended up dying. So in my mind, I mean,
the blood is
on the government's hands for doing this kind of stuff. And I completely agree with the caller here about how the legalization process, it removes the stigma from marijuana. And here in California, it's been legal for like 10 years now or so. And I mean, there's 65-year-old ladies that I hang out with that roll up joints and stuff and smoke out. I mean, it's just completely nonchalant now. You can walk down the street and people won't even look at you wrong. I mean, they'll give you a dirty look for smoking cigarettes because they don't like the smell. But you walk down the street and smoking a joint, everyone's kind of like, oh, that's cool. I mean, can I get a hit or at least, I mean, here's the other thing. Besides the medical properties is, where in the hell does the government think they get the authority to regulate what we do with our own bodies? I mean, they obviously think cigarettes are okay, even though cigarettes are one of the biggest killers in the country. They obviously think alcohol is okay, even though people drunk drive and kill thousands of people a year. But there is yet to be one case where someone has died from using marijuana.
I don't know if they have this in California, but in Washington State, they have it. In Alabama, they definitely have it. It's ABC stores. They are state-run liquor stores. They're run by the state. Not only is it condoned, the state is making a huge profit from it. But it's okay. Drunk drive? Oh, well, we'll arrest you and get double the money.
Yeah. So we'll sell you the liquor, and then we'll nail you for driving after you drink it. And this is the whole thing with the government and how they operate, because when you if you're rich and you get a DUI, it's not that big of a deal. You pay your fine, you're good to go. It's not. They make it seem like, well, it's morally it's not wrong as long as you got the money to pay for it. And it's kind of like this whole thing with cap and trade, carbon credits, all these regulations about pollution and stuff. They're not saying pollution is bad. All they're saying is, hey, if you're going to pollute, you got to pay us to pollute. And so that way we could use your money that you're paying to pollute, so that we can go start up a bunch of wars in the Middle East and cause more pollution by driving around a bunch of tanks and a bunch of Humvees. I mean, so this is the mentality of the government. They don't have a moral high ground. All they have the ability to do is make laws and then tax you for these laws, whether right or wrong. That's what they do.
And all they really can do at this point is respond to money as speech, because it's an oligarchy. And they will use the military or the police, in our case, to push the agenda of the elites, which is just more cash. It's like they said Goldman Sachs is the zombie squid that has tentacles everywhere in the world, right? And we're the freaking gun.
Yeah. As you were bringing up about how it's okay if you have money, there was that kid not too long ago, I believe it was in the past 6 months, where he killed several people, but since his parents were rich, he gets away with it for influenza, which is the most bullshit thing I've ever heard in the court of law. And this kid gets away with murdering several people for being completely belligerent and drunk. But they're okay with that if you have the money.
Yeah,
I think the judge that ruled in that should have to have a breathalyzer put on his car, because dude's obviously drunk all the time. I mean, that's just crazy, dude. Like, I can't even imagine that the people were okay with that, and the guy's still on the bench.
Yeah, I remember that story.
Exactly.
Yeah, that story went really viral, and it kind of goes along the lines of that the guy that was the heir to the 3M fortune that was molesting children, and then he got slapped with probation or something like that, or 3 months in jail or something like very, very minor.
It was his own 4-year-old daughter. So that, I mean, it's not only that; it's incestual too, and the guy gets away with it. It's a fee, and he goes to therapy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and the biggest crime a lot of people commit is just being poor, and that's the saddest part about it.
No, literally, man. I mean, the justice system in this country, if it can even be called that, it's more like an injustice system. It's one of the most regressive institutions that we have in this country, besides the monetary system, which is completely regressive, and it's the worst tax. The justice system, it targets poor people, it targets minorities, and we all know that minorities make up a larger population of the poor people. And all these guys end up in jail, and then it just makes the situation worse. It breaks up their families. It creates lifetime criminals. 75% of people that go to jail wind up going back. And a large percentage of these guys are nonviolent, victimless criminals that are in jail for nothing other than selling a drug that some bureaucrat said was illegal, but while at the same time, Big Pharma is able to basically sell the same exact thing and make a killing off of it. And here's the thing. Not only is it horrible because of what it does to people by throwing them in incarceration and stuff, it kills innovation. Because if you think about it, drug dealers are just entrepreneurs that are trying to make their way in a system where it has a very high barrier of entry with all these regulations, all these taxes, all these permits. If you want to open a legitimate business in the United States, I think now we're like the 41st country and when it comes to opening a business. We've fallen way back. It's easier to open a business in Mexico than it is in the United States. And we wonder why so many people turn to trying to sell drugs. I mean, that's all that is it's another business. Yeah, it's illegal when it comes in the eyes of the government. But if you look at it with a blind eye, all it is another business. It's a small business, and these people are entrepreneurs.
Right.
So what they're doing, not only are they incarcerating people, and we all, keep in mind, we all have to pay for this stuff, and then we're creating lifetime criminals out of these guys. But it is destroying the American spirit, the entrepreneurial spirit. These are the guys that are the entrepreneurs that we should be encouraging, and we should be taking these drug dealers and saying, hey, how about we give you a helping hand so you can open up a quote-unquote legitimate business? Here, let us rehabilitate you and put you into a small business program and set you up with the business, because obviously you're keen to running businesses. Well, no, we just throw these guys in jail. So not only are we killing the minorities, we're killing the poor people with these laws. We're killing innovation. We're killing the American way. We're killing our competitive edge when it comes to entrepreneurialism. And that's one thing that the war on drugs does that many people don't talk about.
And that's all we got with our diversity. That's it.
I gotta say, I love how you bring up the fact that entrepreneurs, these aren't just some dumb petty criminals. They're people that are intelligent, and they see the supply and the demand. And I believe in the fact that if there is no victim, there is no crime, and that's exactly what it is. They're not creating victims. They're just trying to create a business and something that they can sustain themselves on, and they're criminalized for it, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, man, exactly. We're trapped in this monetary system that's regressive. It's hard to keep your head above water. So people need to make money, and they need to feed their families. They need to feed their kids and support people. And when you're pushed out of the system, when you're rejected by the system because of the regressive policies, whether it's in the schooling system or the monetary system, whatever, well, then you're going to turn to ways that have a lower barrier of entry. Barrier of entry to selling drugs is pretty simple. If you can afford an ounce, then you're in the game. And if you play your cards right, you can grow and grow, and you can start making money. I mean, that's just how it is. It's the basic principles of business, and that's what it is, man. Hey, dude, thanks for calling in. We enjoyed your call. We're going to have to close out the show here. I wanted to make sure that you guys keep an eye on this Scotland vote. It's going off tomorrow morning.
If you're in Scotland, please vote yes. If you're listening to us, I'm sure you already will.
Yeah, in fact, considering that they're ahead of our time, I mean...
it's the death of the EU. Just think of it like that.
Please vote yes. Go Scotland. Go watch Braveheart. Keep up with it all day tomorrow. This can happen. This is historic. We have to pay attention to this. This is huge.
Keep an eye on this ISIS stuff. Hopefully the Senate doesn't pass it. I have doubts, but we'll see you guys Friday. Thanks for tuning in.